Good afternoon, everyone. I am Vasundhara, and on behalf of Shine.com, I welcome all of you to Shine Talent Talks today. Shine.com has always been a platform for HR fraternity to share their thoughts and discuss the trending topics related to hiring and talent. To make this event experience exceptionally interactive for you, we have a Q&A session at the end of the event where you can get a chance to interact with our HR leaders, our elite speakers. When we think of HR, other than interviews, salaries, and attrition, fun and games are the first few things which comes to our mind. To ensure our HR is having fun at the event, we also have a fun zone on the event platform. Visit now, click some beautiful pictures, boomerangs, or GIFs, and post on our social media handles with our hashtags. To begin with, let's have a look at the Shine journey so far.
In the past years, Shine.com has seen incredible growth by leveraging latest technologies of AI and ML and delivered numerous product innovations to help our partners achieve their professional goals. HR leaders expect us to provide right talent in the lowest possible. Our focus will be to work closely with HR leaders to understand shifting priorities and to help them provide best recruiting experience. Thank you.
Not only this, Shine.com in collaboration with Mint has recently launched a hiring trend reports called Talent Insights, which was created with some extensive study and market research where more than 500 HR leaders participated. Talent Insights so far has received overwhelming response for us. The event platform as well. We will also share the report on mail with all the attendees at the end of the event. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Vijay Nair, VP Marketing at Shine.com, to share some of his thoughts around the report and what can we expect from this report in near future. Mr. Nair, over to you, please.
Thanks, Vasundhara. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to the new edition of Shine Talent Talks. A warm welcome to the esteemed HR leaders as well, who will be sharing their experience and enriching us with their knowledge. Well, at Shine, we are constantly striving to innovate and drive value to all the stakeholders, the candidates and the recruiters alike. While most job portals only focus on getting the candidates their next job, Shine focuses on the entire career growth of the candidate. We want to be that buddy who walks that path alongside the candidate and build that bridge. Right? Talent Insights report is one such initiative. We thank the vast network of HR professionals who have shared their valuable insights and inputs and who's helped us to launch the first Mint and Shine Talent Insights report. This report covers not only the hiring trends across geographies and sectors, but it also covers softer aspects of the talent attrition, salary increments, which are those profiles which are in demand, which are those geographies where these jobs are existing, and which are these new upcoming cities and tier 2, tier 3 towns where these jobs actually reside and are moving to. The post-pandemic job market in India is flourishing at twice the speed. The report also unveils a comprehensive map of how the Indian ecosystem of job is progressing and in these unprecedented times. This report also provides the job market stakeholders with an undeniable proof of where this employment sector is headed. Professionals, both first-timers and established ones, can access these reports, these trends, and make informed decisions about their job. I think this is a report which is constantly evolving, and it's a quarterly report. The next quarter's report that you will be seeing from our stable is going to be much more refined, and it will be having much more added avenues as per the feedbacks that we are receiving from our esteemed guests, as well as each recipient or the people who are reading these reports. I think we aspire to keep evolving this over time and bring more such insights that are more relevant to the broader HR fraternity and the job seekers alike. So I would warmly invite all of you to kindly go through the report post the session. Like Vasundhara mentioned, it is available. You can easily access our report. Your feedback is equally welcome. And we would also like if you could show some love and maybe share it once you also read it and find value in it. Thank you, and please do make the most of the session with the brilliant HR leaders that we have on this panel today. Thanks, Vasundhara.
Thank you, Vijay. Now is the time when we can start our first session of the event. First session will be around the topic managing attrition post-appraisal blues. This is the time of the year when almost all organizations are done with their annual appraisal cycle, and managing attrition in the organization is must. To moderate this session, we have Mr. Harjeet Khanduja, Senior Vice President Human Resource at Reliance Jio, Mr. Sailesh Menzies, Senior Director and Head of Human Resources from Hewlett Packard Enterprise, Mr. Shivaditya Banerjee, HR Head India at Piramal Pharma Solutions, Mr. Vinay Agrawal, Head Business HR at Tech Mahindra, and Ms. Kashish Daya Kapoor, Vice President Human Resource at NEC Corporation India Private Limited. They are joining us as a speaker today. I welcome all of you to Shine Talent Talks. Mr. Khanduja, over to you now.
A very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for trusting me with moderating this session. I believe in disruption, so I did not want to disrupt the session at the beginning itself. So I was going through the Shine report, and why I'm saying I went through the Shine report, because Vasundhara made sure that all of us at least read Shine report before we come to this call. One is, of course, for the branding of Shine. Second is, she wanted us to be more learned before we come to the call, so that when we are talking about something, we make more sense. So I practically sat and read through the entire report, and I really liked the report. And I would recommend each and everyone who is there in the HR profession or who is a people manager should actually look at the report, and you are definitely going to benefit from it. Now, what this report started with was that quarter on quarter hiring has increased from 20% to 40%. I'm taking averages. I'm not going to 21% to 41%. So leave that part. What I want to ask my esteemed panelists is, if hiring has gone up, that means attrition also would have gone up. So maybe I would like one of you to respond. Shivaditya, maybe start with you. I know you were asking for Vasundhara's number. I saw just now. I'm very sorry for that.
No problem, Sarjeet. I think, better late than never. But yeah, I think I managed. So I just want to be sure that I am audible. Are you all able to hear me?
Yeah, you are audible, yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. So see what you say. So the answer is twofold, Harjeet. One is importantly that of course there is attrition against which there is hiring. Second, there are organizations which are also having greater ramp up plans. Who are trying to increase their manpower. Trying to expand business operations, plant operations, and whatnot. And that's also one of the reasons why people are recruiting and hiring. And third, of course, I think a lot of industries are starting proactive hiring against attrition. Something, the attrition that is going to happen, against that. So I think that's where you see that nobody wants to be left out, because as it is, it's very difficult to get talent these days. Everybody has one or two offers, three offers. So I think that is one of the reasons why we see this. And also, needless to add here, Harjeet, in the COVID times also saw a lot of job cuts. And as COVID gets over, probably those jobs are also coming into main space, and that could be one of the reasons we see a greater blip than what intuitively appears reasonable. So I think these are few things that I would add from my side, Harjeet.
Thank you, Shivaditya. In fact, this is what you heard from him about that why is attrition happening. Now, there is one more factor, that attrition has gone up and the hiring has gone up. The report says it could be appraisal effect. And there is a correlation which is shown. I don't know whether that correlation is valid or not. I would like to understand from one of the HR leaders, say, Shailesh, have you seen that generally attrition goes up after the appraisals?
So I have a very different view on this point. And Harjeet, thank you for giving me an opportunity to share some thoughts. And thanks.
Can I call it back?
Thanks to Shine.com also for the invitation to speak. So the way I truly believe that the way appraisals have been done through the years definitely needs to change. There are organizations that will see some sort of spike in attrition post the appraisal process. Also, don't forget that very often, merit increases follow an appraisal process. And the cycle of the industry is such that post the merit increase, often you tend to see attrition across the industry. And this is not just industry specific, it's industry agnostic. But this is where I wanted to share a little bit about why it's so important to do a robust enough appraisal process. Because appraisals done once a year should not be done, very similar to a checkbox exercise. And there are a lot of deficiencies that come into a process like this. And that's the reason why organizations, are doing away with annual appraisals for this simple reason. I believe that standard annual appraisals done once a year has passed its prime. We at the organization I lead HR for have moved towards a quarterly check-in feedback process rather than an annual appraisal. Because there's a lot of negativity to an appraisal because you have the concept of ratings over there. So we did away with ratings. So along with a quarterly check-in, we've started to focus on the developmental aspect of the team. So an appraisal is actually for development of a team member. It's not punitive, and so we have added in the developmental aspects of, developing our team in every quarterly check-in. So that has removed the stigma behind appraisals here. But if you continue to do appraisals where rating is the focus of the appraisal process, you tend to see attrition spiking after the process itself. So yes, to be very crisp and to the point, you do tend to see that's not the only reason for attrition. We all know what are the other reasons for attrition today. But a poorly done appraisal process will contribute to attrition as well.
Thank you, Shailesh. And if you see, Shailesh has put in a different paradigm altogether. He's saying annual appraisal should not be there. So if annual attrition will not be, annual appraisal is not be there, so the attrition which is happening annually, you can take care of that. But point is, if it should not be annual, then should it be quarterly, should it be monthly, or should it be daily, or how it should be? Kashish would like to say, hear from you. Do you agree with Shailesh, or do you want to put a different point?
Thank you so much, Harjit, and good evening, everybody. Lovely being here today. So I do agree with Sailesh. We've moved from what traditionally used to be appraisals and the linkages of appraisals to attrition. But will the demon of attrition go away if we move to a quarterly appraisal cycle? I think the way the market is looking today and the way the market has been reacting over the last 18 odd months, I doubt it. But what is going to happen positively, that we will not see the attrition spike, at particular junctures. It will be more evenly spread. So our capability and our capacity to deal with it will be more thought through and more structured. Right now, we are all, while you are doing the whole increment process, you're also at the back of your mind, you're also processing how you're going to be handling the attrition in the next 3 months. So yes, absolutely. We need to look at, there's a huge opportunity for us to look at the entire talent space now. A lot has changed there with the new hybrid coming in, workers moving in, our employees moving into remote areas, the whole piece around remote working population having gone up, the engagement piece having taken a complete shift, the connection, the communication, the association, the pride that contributes to a large extent, compensation increment. Personally, I don't feel are reasons for stickiness. They are reasons, but they're not the prime reasons for stickiness in an organization. So I think a lot has to change there. The way increments and bonuses will continue, will always be there to provoke attrition. But I think we have higher and much more important reasons that will drive the way attrition trends in the coming months and years.
Thank you, Kashish. That was a beautiful explanation. I'm seeing the time. I believe the first discussion for which we were there, if we have completed that time, then I will keep quiet and pass on the baton to Binoy. Or if before passing the baton to the Binoy, I would ask one more question. And look, one aspect is what Shailesh and Kashish talked about, that appraisals need to change. Annual appraisal is not the answer, so they can be quarterly, or we have to figure out what it is. Or it can be another extreme, like the way US market operates. You pay for a job, and when you pay for a job, then there is not much scope for improvement in the salary unless you are adding value to yourself and you are moving to the next job. So that forces you to add value to yourself and move to the next level of job. Vasundhara has switched on her videos and I am a bit scared. Should I ask this question to Vijay or Vinay, or shouldn't I?
No, please go ahead, sir.
So Vinay, do you think that this US phenomena which is there, that is going to come to India, or do you think India will find a different solution for itself, like what Kashish and Shailesh were talking about, that we are going to the new methodology?
So Haji, thank you very much for this question. So my perspective is that basically things are, so a couple of, I think, underlying things which are driving the market is, one of them is the skill has become of prime importance. So it is all about basically what is the price a company is willing to pay for that skill. So skill hiring is basically taking over any other consideration. The second thing is so the second thing is basically that the traditional matrix of how many years you have been working, which university you have passed out. So all those things are going to underplay. And yes, so talent would be compensated based on the value you bring. So if the value in terms of the skill, which is not so easily available, or the new technology, you may get a better price, you may get a better compensation. 2 years down the line, when that skill probably is no more sought after, and you don't upgrade the compensation. So talent to value as a major shift is something I totally agree with you. That would happen. There are market forces who that will make sure it happens.
Thank you, Vinay. And just to tell all of you, before this, when the meeting started, we were talking to Vijay. Vijay is the person who actually publishes the HT Shine report. So he was talking about that from next quarter, they are introducing something called skill section also in the report. And maybe that is going to be very helpful for all of us to make decisions based on skill, and that is how the market will mature. And looking at the tension on the face of Vasundhara, so I give the baton back to Vasundhara. Vasundhara, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the discussion. Coming to second session of the event today, let me introduce you all with the second topic of the evening: how to keep talent engaged in work from home and hybrid models. To moderate the session, we have Mr. Binoy Haridasan, Associate Vice President Human Resource at Infinix Healthcare, Mr. Sailesh Menzies, Senior Director and Head of Human Resource from Hewlett Packard Enterprise, Ms. Kashish Daya Kapoor, Vice President Human Resource, Mr. Pradeep Chavra, Director Human Resource India at Sodexo, Mr. Ashish Bhamri, Manager Regional Recruiting Lead at ZS Associates India Private Limited, and Mr. Harjeet Khanduja, Senior Vice President Human Resource at Reliance Jio. They will be speaking on this topic and will be having a discussion. Mr. Binoy, over to you now, please.
Thank you, Vasundhara. And I would like to thank HT and Shine for giving me this opportunity to speak today and moderate with this such wonderful esteemed guests which we have here. First and foremost, congratulations to HT and Shine for the wonderful report they have come out with. Okay, to start off the session, the essence of team bonding and trust is upon the connect, the personal connect, trust which we create with the people when we were in office, connecting to them, gaining their trust, having engagement activities. The personal connects everything. But due to pandemic, everything has now been shifted. Most of the organization has shifted towards the virtual onboarding, interviews, job roles, OGTs, everything has become virtual. So saying that, I would like to first start with knowing from this esteemed panel, okay, what percentage of your staff is currently doing work from home and how many are doing the hybrid model? So let's start with Shaileshji.
Yeah. So we have moved to what we call an edge to office model. So office are those who are aligned to office at least 4 to 5 days a week. Edge are those who work remotely, but we expect them to be in office for moments of collaboration, of culture, for team sharing. So about 80-85% are actually at the edge, where they work remotely, and remaining are office aligned workers.
Okay, Kashishji, in your organization?
So we've moved we formally brought in a hybrid working policy where we've categorized our workforce in people who are going to be completely remote, to people who will be, and then the second categories of employees who will be working from office, and then there is a floating section of employees who will move, who by default of their role will be required to visit different facilities and different client locations, etc. And then there is a category of workers who will come in as and when there is a need for them to be in office. So at any point of time, we're looking at anywhere between 35 to 50% people across a month to be in office, So that's what we've started off with. But having said that, absolutely conscious of the fact that this is not cast in stone. We will continue to review and see what is it, how is this moving, assess it continuously, and this is bound to get customized. I have no doubts on that front.
Thank you, Kashishji. Pradeep, in your organization, please. Okay, let's go to Ashish.
Sure. Good evening, and thank you, Binoy. We have come up with a flexible and connected model. Again, I think most of the organizations talk about 3 or 4 days a week. That is what we are also trying to do. We are trying to give the flexibility to all the employees, and at the same time, we are expecting them to stay connected with their teams. So I would say that 90 to 95% of our workforce is into this flexible and connected model. Time and again, if we receive some request that is reviewed by the leadership, and we looking at the work that the person is doing, and how much will it impact the larger team if the person is doing a work from home, permanent work from home, is something that is reviewed by a set of panel which consists of mostly the leaders in the organization who take this decision. So yes, I think I can safely say that more than 90% is where we are in the flexible and connected model.
Thank you, Ashish. Harjit ji, in Reliance.
Let me talk about the Shine report. So Vasundhara, you must be thinking I'm promoting you guys, and you guys must be thinking they have given me some money to promote them. Not like that. I really like the report. So in this particular section, what the report says is that most of the organization, although we are talking about, but most of the organizations, around 48% of the organizations want to work from office.
Yeah.
And the remaining half, 40% approximately want to work in a hybrid model, and only 12% people, 12% of the organizations want to work from home. And that is what the statistics says. Based on this is the voice of the customer. So maybe we are also a group, but they have collected a bigger group, and that shows the trend that after pandemic we are trying to go back to the old normal.
Okay. So, but as of today, I think so most of the organizations are still doing that hybrid model. So for the next question, I would like Ashish to take this. What are the engagement activities your organization is doing to keep the hybrid model staff engaged, and how effective are they?
So I think right when the pandemic started, from there on, mostly all the organization, they had to think of various activities, and even for the new joiners who were joining in this era where they haven't experienced the office premises and how the office looks. So what really should we do to make them feel part of ZS? Since then, all the HR, our office, admin teams, they have come up with various sessions related to health and other engagement activities. We've come a long way from complete lockdown mode to now hybrid mode, where we have a lot of people in the office. All the activities, even today, any summits that we do, we make sure that we are able to engage people who are even staying at their home. While everybody will face those technological challenges, even we faced, but I think kudos to the entire IT setup in the firm, that we are in a situation now where the biggest of the summits, where we are expected to have 500, 600 or 700 odd people, we are able to do it seamlessly across different locations, across people who are probably out of 600, we might have 100 people at home, 200 in one location, 300 in other location, which used to be pre-pandemic, which used to be one location, all 600. And now we have like 3, 4, 5 different setups, and make sure that everybody gets the same experience is actually a daunting task for any firm to really achieve.
Okay. Thank you, Ashish. Maybe the next question to Kashish ji. Work from home is good, but it lacks the team building activities and all. And as of today, if you see, while hiring, we know the challenge. For small monies, people are leaving the organization. Okay, and whoever gives the bigger money is winning the plot. And there are hardly loyalty remaining with the employees for the organization. So in this hybrid model, how do we balance it? And how can the organization bring in some commitment out of the employees in this work from home or hybrid model?
Thanks, Binoy. So I have a slightly different opinion there. So the hybrid and the work from home, so I don't think there is a decline in productivity. I think there is a large set of employees who will come back to you and tell you that they've been saving so much of their commute time, which they have been able to divert much more productively. And we are today talking about, there's a parallel dialogue going around work-life balance. There is a dialogue going around well-being, both mental, emotional, as well as professional well-being. I think flexibility and working from home, some of these things help us amplify that experience for the employees. So it's all good. We need to be a little more disciplined in ourselves, which is the need of the hour, to have our day prioritized, have it scoped out very well. Engagement is no longer now something which only HR can drive. Engagement and employee connect, which from manager, from leadership, from HR, from any and everybody in the organization. And I think authenticity of the organization, the vulnerability of the leadership being vulnerable to see up the pulses of employees and to then stitch in the engagement and the community.
I think so. Kashish ji is facing some network challenge.
I'm sorry, but this is. Am I audible?
Yes.
Sorry, no. I don't know where I left off, but I think so. This is one side of work from home, which we just saw, where we just lose the technical glitches that happen. But I think it's work from home is something which we will have to learn to adapt to. We are all talking about it now. Our maturity to handle it will evolve. We need to be more authentic. We need to be more vulnerable to questions that will come, scenarios that will come, and be absolutely honest and really be there to see what is going to work and not going to work. But I think it's a good space to be in, with the digital piece coming in and the automation which has taken, which is a quantum leap in these times. I think a good partnership there with authenticity and trust, I think, and a lot of discipline in our lives. I think we should be able to do a good job there.
Thank you, Kashish ji. Ajit ji, the next questions for you. How do we reward and recognize the talent in the hybrid world?
So, Binoy, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So, why should it be different from what it was earlier? You reward and recognize for doing a good job. The thing is, if the person is doing a good job, reward and recognize that person. The basic philosophy remains the same, whether it is hybrid or physical.
The personal touch which we used to get, that's missing today. Where we used to give a certificate, people used to be there, clap for them, and get that recognition in front of everyone. So,
look, right now you are living in an age of Instagram. fine. And
Yeah.
you count how many likes on Instagram you got. If you are not on Reels, you can't even survive on Instagram. When I shifted from LinkedIn to Instagram and I started making base, so I used to write stories on LinkedIn. The stories don't work on Instagram. You have to put a video. And when I put a video, I am a star. So thing is, there is a reality of each and every age. Now, like what Kashish was saying, that was a very powerful statement.
Yeah.
That we need to learn in this new environment. This is not that we are the only economy struggling to get into this. There are, you can say, Western economy which is working in work from home kind of a scenario for quite some time, and they have figured out how to. Expectations of people are also set. Our expectation is also set that this is how we are going to work. Since we are shifting, it will take some time. We will figure out our cultural nuances. We are a high touch culture. So high touch culture, how it is working on TikTok and Instagram, we have to figure it out, and we have to implement in our respective organizations. That's how it is going to work.
That's excellent. So I think so. Even I didn't knew this. We can do that. So maybe I am not on Reels. So thank you so much. That will help me also to actually give and reward people in my organization too. So the last for this, Sundara, am I overshoot the time? Can I take one more?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay. Shailesh, one question for you. Has the attrition percentage gone down in the hybrid model of working? If yes, why? If no, why?
That's a very, very difficult answer to give you, because attrition is a subset or a result of many, many, many factors. It is not just, hybrid working. But to answer that question, let me give you a perspective here. Today, the concept of working remotely is a novel concept in India. Let's face that. As Harjeet also mentioned, a lot is developing, a lot is evolving. But I truly believe that if we mismanage the whole concept of how do employees work effortlessly, are rewarded, are recognized the same way as it was in the past, and where they truly believe that they're adding value to the organization, if we mismanage that, you will see significant attrition as a result of a hybrid working model. So it's all about managing it correctly. And this is what may eventually result in attrition, because there are consequences to working remotely. And one of it is actually we've seen significant mental health issues, cropping up in the industry. A lot of team members also tend to believe that there's a fear of missing out, FOMO, as there's a perception that office-based employees will get first preference to the best roles, receive the highest merit increase because of familiarity, because of being close to, say, the people leader or the manager. And if we do not coach and train our people leaders and managers to be able to effectively manage in a hybrid workforce, we would see multi-dimensional concerns and issues, cropping up very, very soon. Be it on unconscious bias, be it on irrational perception that get created. So while this is novel, it's very nice to do right now. Many of team members are saying, I've joined an organization only if you have an opportunity for me to work remotely. But you have to think much, much deeper on that as we, as this whole model starts to mature.
Okay. So you believe that work-life balance has improved because of hybrid? Do you agree to that statement?
I truly believe that the concept of balance has gone out of the window. It's all about integrating. It's about how does your work integrate with life and vice versa, your life with work. So it's very, very person specific. There are a lot of people today who swear by the fact that they had great integration when they were actually in office. But a large percentage still believes that they have more flexibility when they actually work remotely. So it's very person specific. And it's just, I just wanted to add one last point. We should not assume that working remotely is a very comfortable way of working. It's not always true. You're managing kids, you're managing elderly at home. There are always complexities. So there are pros and cons for both. I have to say that, and it's about how do you manage it and balance it too.
Thank you. So that's last, because in your report, I have seen that the hiring has gone up in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. So an open question to anybody can take this. Do you think work from home will open up opportunities for the women from the tier 2 and tier 3 cities? Because we have seen in my organization also, we have hired a lot of people from tier 2, tier 3, but I have seen only 80% of the men join us, the boys join us, but the female staff are still not coming out of their tier 2, tier 3 cities. But this will give them opportunity. So do you believe in that statement?
Binay, should I answer this?
Please, Arjit.
Look, there is something which is happening in front of our eyes. Of course, when you do recruitment in the remote environment, what happens is the biases go away. And you tend to hire people based on skills rather than based on how a person looks like.
Yeah.
Now, what is happening in the industry right now is the jobs are shifting shape. When you go to the tier 2, tier 3 cities, maybe you are not going with permanent jobs. What you are doing is you are converting them into gig jobs. You are identifying jobs properly, pointed job descriptions, pointed incentives, and jobs are going to tier 2, tier 3 cities, but in different shape and form. There are a lot of employment opportunities which are getting generated out of the typical industry which was there. So this pandemic and this work from home situation is going to create a new set of employees, and all of us HR leaders will be figuring out how to manage policies and processes for those guys and how to manage engagement for those guys as we move forward. So for sure, there is a new segment which is coming for all of us.
Yeah, I'll just add one more point here. Just referring to the report again, I could see that we've seen a shift in these 2 years from those tier 1 cities, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai. Now we see the other states, really shooting up. And I think even organizations have now realized the potential that is coming out of these, tier 2, tier 3 cities. And not only from a hybrid model standpoint, I think organizations are also now willing to really create a setup out of these cities. And because while you get the talent, even the retention of talent in such cities is far more, I would not say easy, but less difficult than managing in the tier 1 cities.
Okay. Thank you, Harjit. Thank you, Ashish. So, Vasudha, should I go on or I'll go to the next topic?
Let's shift to the next topic. If we'll have some time in the end, maybe we can accommodate the rest of the questions there.
Surely. So if you would like to introduce the...
Yeah, thank you. Thanks to all the panelists. Before moving to our next topic, I would like to highlight that attendees can ask questions in Q&A chat and leaders will answer questions shortly. We have already started receiving few questions. Moving to the third session of the evening, last but most interesting and vast topic, how do you drive employer branding? To moderate the discussion, we have Mr. Binoy Haridasan, Associate Vice President, Human Resource at Infinix Healthcare, Mr. Shivaditya Banerjee, HR Head India at Piramal Pharma Solutions, Mr. Vinay Agarwal, Head Business HR at Tech Mahindra, Mr. Harjeet Khanduja, Senior Vice President, Human Resource at Reliance Jio, will be part of the panel. Mr. Binoy, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Sundar. So straight away diving into the question. So maybe we'll start with Shivaditya ji. Okay. What do we as HRs need to do to promote the employee branding? Would you like to take that?
Sure. And again, like every other HR subject wherein, you would like to, dive deep in, there's no end to how much you can unearth if you try to get into employer branding strategies and whatnot. But I'll try to keep it simple. I think see, one important thing is, I think, and I'll take cue from what Harjeet mentioned, and I think everybody else, everybody organization worth its salt is doing this, is the presence on social media. I think that's one big thing. That's what everybody looks at when they speak about employer value band. Sorry, the employer branding piece. Now I'm coming to the tactical stuff first, and then I'll come to the the content part later. I think one is that one important thing is that you'll see that a lot of organizations end up putting a lot of stuff on the engagement activities, the fun activities, know your employee, know your employees' pets and stuff like that, which is great, because it just gives you traction. And in this area, tactically, frequency matters more than content. The fact that your eyeballs get to see about one organization multiple times matters more than what you are putting in. So tactically, I think that's one thing which is important. If you want your brand to have a very high recall. The other part, where I want to also speak about is that and a brand or an organization also needs to see what more is it doing which it can tell to Janta outside and inspire them. One is content, knowledge, nuggets of knowledge, wisdom, skill building. Is there anything around that wherein there are employees, or something that the organization has done, or its ESG report which it wants to put it out in the social media for other people to go through. What it does is it builds knowledge. It also ends up inspiring a lot of other organizations who want to be like you. So I think that way you end up contributing to a lot more factors, in a lot more organizations, lot more people in the society. And what has unfortunately or fortunately happened is, whatever the society can't provide to a person, the organization takes it upon itself to provide it to you, be it fairness, equity, diversity, no discrimination, and that is where practices like DNI, what are you doing for the LGBTQ community? I think all of that, which are topical subject globally, become important. So I think there's an array of things that can go there. I think, and that's the tactical stuff. Second, I think more importantly, when your actual ambassadors are your own employees. I think one of the key areas is when you take people in. What's the onboarding experience that you give them? People may not recall what happened in year 2014. People start thinking that, which organization was I a part of then? But if you ask what happened in your first day in a given organization, more likely people would recall that. I think onboarding becomes very critical. And, then of course, you have, multiple other vehicles through which you end up, making employees experience the organization, and they become your mouthpiece, because there are people attriting out. And I can tell you that there are people attriting out, and more often than not, they will say good things about you if you have been a reasonable organization, but say that I went because I got a better package or I got greater flexibility. So I think, that's what it is. But I can tell you, in today's world, it's important that we put in efforts for employer branding, because one can sit out of his Bermuda and t-shirt in the bedroom and change companies, in today's time. So how does a person get to experience an organization, on what the other functions are doing, what the organization at large are doing? So I think it's more important, not only for people outside, for your own people who on hybrid are working at home and not experienced in the organization on a daily basis. Yeah.
Thank you, Shivaratiji. It was in depth. So linking that to Vinay Agarwalji, if you can take this, what's the linkage between the employee branding and the employee retention?
So you are on mute.
So what I was saying is that employee retention is, to me, it sounds basically very tactical and reactive measure. While branding, so employer branding, I don't think it is in the hands of employers. So the branding basically comes from what employees feel, and that is what we will talk about, and that is what we want to make the brand. So I would say the employee experience right from the basically before the person is hired. So from that consistently and authentically, if we can make sure that the experience is, the whole process and everything, the whole system in the company provides a good experience. And it's not easy. And so maybe we can prioritize the magic moments and make sure that those touch points we have then we can deliver an outstanding experience. So we just need to focus on delivering a very good experience culture authentically. And I think it'll take some time, but in the current times of social media, so whatever people experience, spreading the word happen much faster than it used to be a few weeks back. So that'll be my view that. And when we talk about the employee experience, that's a big thing. So it's a basically very vast thing. So specifically, I want to just point out one thing, one dimension of that is that from HR perspective, we need to make sure that the mass customization. So each person is dealt individually. So the whole hybrid thing is all about understanding what are the personal requirements of flexibility and business goal, and how do we marry both. So I think there's a huge shift in terms of how people experience, which comes from the basic philosophical foundation that we recognize the individual differences and see how much we can customize the way we administer policy, etc., which hopefully should translate to a good experience, and which will, with some time left, will probably reflect in the employer.
Thank you, Vinay. So you spoke about the social media effectiveness. So Harjit ji, I think so among us, you can give us better light about what are the negative comments which comes in. So definitely any discontented employee goes on the websites, writes whatever he wants, and it's floated around. During pandemic, we have seen a lot of them. So how does it affect the employee brand overall? And can we do anything to stop such things?
Frankly speaking, if someone wants to talk bad about you, you can't go and shut that guy up, because you can't. I will tell you a story. So my son was looking for a particular product, and he searched it on Amazon, and he got a 3.5 star rating. So I said, "Are you going to buy it? This is 3.5 star." So he said, "I will go and read the comments. They might have said something about delivery. I am interested in product. Even if delivery is 1 or 2 days late, I don't mind. It depends upon the specific person." And second is, like you would have seen in this new age, people are going to say something or the other about you. Thing is how you are reacting to it. If someone says something bad about you, you go and respond to that. Sorry for that experience if you have gone through it. And then you encourage your good customers. In fact, I went to one of the restaurants. I had dinner, and after the dinner, the person, the waiter came to me and he said, how did you find our service? I said, it was very good. This is, did you have fun? Yeah, I had fun. Sir, can you go to Facebook and post few comments about me? He was not even talking about the brand. He was talking about tag brand and tag me that I did a very good job. So thing is, that restaurant has motivated their employees to create positive experiences on social media. Generally, what happens is we don't give too much value to this. Yeah. That if a positive experience is created, we say, okay, this is our job. When a negative statement comes, then we start thinking, oh, we should have captured those 100 positive experiences which we had created. Then people would have realized that our like the good comments about us are 99%. This is only 1% of the whole lot. Otherwise, how it appears is that negative comments are 100%. So this is something, the new way of working, and we have to get used to this new way of working. When restaurants, small restaurants have adopted to this kind of practice, then I think it should be easy for big organizations to adopt these kind of practices. So I will stop here.
Thank you. Vasundhara, last question I will just ask to Shivaditya. Does organization need to measure employee brand strength, and what are the metrics which we can use to measure that? If you can throw some light.
Sure. So see, one important thing is that what you'll read a lot on the social media also, and I think there has been a question around it also, not social media, on the internet, is that you need to do an employer brand audit. That's one of the things that many organizations do, which is the as is state. So for example, if you have a LinkedIn page, if you have a presence on Glassdoor, Insta, Facebook, and whatnot, I think what are the kind of impressions you are getting, views you are getting, what's the traction, and there's an entire list, and it's available. In fact, there are people who want to, look at it. I think it's sliced dice to the last mile, right? So I think that definitely is one thing that gives you the starting point. And from there, you need to take on certain targets. Now, these again are, in a way, when you take targets around this space where, there's an entire crowd and engagement with the crowd out in the social media ultimately decides your score. There are a lot of, ifs and buts. One thing may not rationally add to the other. Suddenly you'll see a high spike in score, but it is not attributable to the action you did. It is to some other news that your company actually presented. So I think it's not easy, and hence apart from a quantitative audit, a qualitative audit is even more required. And that is one of the reasons where I think not only there are times where companies do exit interviews, and many companies have started speaking with people after they've left, because then you are more likely to hear true feedback. Is there a way that is getting relayed to the leadership inside the organization? And are we taking any steps around it? Are we doing any soul searching ourselves that, are we turning into an organization like this, in line with the feedback that is being given? Same applies to, people who join early, right? And before, you sort of, make them part of the organization in your own hardened ways. I think the innocent side of a citizen who's trying to become an employee still remains, and that's the time you are more likely to hear real feedback. And see, at the end of the day, you have to realize, Binoy, that a lot of organizations have started managing their social media handles, things like even Glassdoor feedback and a lot of other things, right? So you never know what is really true and what is not, and any organization ends up only giving positive news about your.
It seems there is some technical error.
Organization. That's the only thing I advertise. Sorry, I think, am I audible?
There's a lag.
What I was saying, sure. So I was saying that apart from the quantitative bit, I think the qualitative analysis and a deep discussion, at least among the HR people who are custodian of culture and employer brand, needs to be there, and you need to keep evolving. And you need to also be true to the generation you are a part of. So I think, be it your value system, your pillars, or whatever you may call it, I think we need to be very contemporary. I think that's the need of the hour. As long as you're meeting that and you're true to some foundational values, you should be doing a good job.
Thank you, Shivaditya. So I think so all the members who are here must have really benefited with the answers which we have got. I learned a lot of things as of today. And Vasundhara, do you want me to take the questions, or you will take it?
So you can take it. First of all, I would request all our attendees that we have started receiving questions. In case you also want to interact with our speakers, please put in your questions and they will answer your questions. Over to you, sir. You can start with the questions.
Thank you. The first one which came in was, can attrition rate will also get increased not only with the increase in hiring, but with also due to change in the law for notice period? Can attrition rate increase? due to the high hiring numbers, or I didn't get the question, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll come back to that question. I'll take the second one. As a recruitment consultant, how to keep talent engaged in work from home and hybrid model? If any of the panel members, it's open to all, anyone can take that.
Happy to take that, Vinay. Okay, so I think it's very important that when we connect with the talent, the candidates to hire, building that personal connect, not being very clinical about that engagement, and not limiting that discussion to just the role, the documentation that is required, the compensation, the notice period, but in fact giving a glimpse into what the organization's culture is. Where are we looking at investing in the employees within the organization? Where does the organization invest in skilling, upskilling? What are some of the offerings? The EDP has changed dramatically over the last couple of months. The clarity around what is the new working, what are the new working models, the hybrid, the flexibility. All of that becomes much more relevant when we engage with the candidates. What is also more important is to give them a sense of that, even if this is remote and this is, there are lifestyles that choices that people have made in the last 2 years. Somebody has adopted running, somebody has adopted cycling, somebody likes to go and stay on work vacations, etc. So giving a glimpse as to how the organization is supporting this to bring about the work-life balance. I think this is very critical. Also focus on the health benefits that the organization is providing. So that will make it a more engaging experience. Also, all through the recruitment process, there has to be an engagement, not only from the end of the recruiter, but even from the business managers and leaders, which is hiring this candidate, so that they get to know and get more insights into what the projects are about, what is that role about, how is it going to grow, and also have interspersed those dialogues with personal connects. Invite them if you're in office for a cup of coffee, meet them if possible, show them around the office, give them a feel of that, even if it is going to be a flexible or a remote position in the long run, wherever it is feasible. So I think that's from my
Thank you, Kashish. I hope so. The question raised by the person got the right answer. Okay, the next one. We had a good discussion about work from home situation. We have seen that the work time goes beyond the office timings, and considering managing home well, long working hours affect the mental health of the employees, especially during the work from home. How to handle that fact?
Yeah, I'm happy to just share a couple of quick thoughts. I think, and I did allude to it just a few minutes ago, where, post-COVID, the whole concept of mental health, emotional wellness is paramount for every organization. So I think that brought in firstly awareness. Many organizations didn't think it was so important till COVID struck. And today it is universally accepted as something that organizations need to focus on, needs to drive forward. It can be providing emotional or mental health support in office through third-party players. It's about various means where organizations have said, okay, we will have a curfew on the time you spend in office. You cannot be seen on mails between this time to that time. Every organization plays it differently. But what I think is really good is the fact that all these aspects of wellness, it can be physical wellness, emotional wellness, is at a forefront, because this directly impacts performance and productivity. So it's counter impactful if it doesn't, or if it's not a priority of organizations today, and hence it has become a priority. So I think this is something that employees need to keep pushing back on the organization consistently to be able to do this. it's more and more difficult to compartmentalize. So as I use the word integration, it's all about how do you integrate your two lives that you have. But at the end of it, I think there's a lot more awareness today, and you will see a lot of change happening as well as we speak.
Thank you, Shailesh. Okay, the next question. What are the ways HRs from small and medium organizations can adopt to help promote the brand for acquiring talent, apart from posting lucrative job posts and sharing fun activities on social media? It's a very good question, actually.
I can take that up, Binoy.
Yes, Ashish.
So I think one people value proposition is something which I feel as an experience of employees when they are in the organization is something that you can always share with the larger group, because that is how people outside the organization, they create perception of your firm. And of course, you can even call it employee value proposition. So it talks about the employee experience not only at the time of onboarding, but the entire experience from entry till exit of the employee. So and I can share about our organizations. Yes, so we recently came up with our PVP statement, which was where passion changes lives. Now, this is the expression of the employee experience. It's what you say as employees when talking to your families about your jobs. It's what we as a company say and do when sharing thought leadership, recruiting top talent, and upholding company values. So it's the experience you offer to the candidates and as well as our own employees. So I think that's how you build. I'll just relate it to the employer brand. It's just not about the jobs or the fun activities. It is about, if I'm assuming that some people would be following the ZS on social media, so you will see that we mostly talk about people and culture. So if it is not about the jobs or the fun activities, it is just the experience that people have had in the organization, working with us for like decades or something, lived through the journey. I think Shailesh was talking about the integration. It's not about the work-life balance. How people have integrated their life with the work at ZS. That is what you showcase even as a small and a medium organization in the market.
Thank you, Ashish.
I would like to add to what Ashish said.
Please, Ashish.
So I will give you an example. I wrote a book 2 years back. During the pandemic, we were in jail. So all the good leaders, what they do when they are in jail, they write a book. So I also wrote a book. And after writing a book, I thought if you are an author, you should be on Goodreads. I went to Goodreads. I have been reading books, but I never reviewed those books. And no connections on Goodreads. So if I have to build a brand, and if I want a particular set of people, I need to interact with those people. Talk about their common interest, so that when I have a need, they also come and help me with that need. If you go to social media only with your need, nobody is going to help you. Then you say, oh, there are no likes. Social media is not helping. Point is, social media requires diligence. If you're diligent every day, you are interacting with people, you are helping one or two people out. Look, it is huge. The kind of traffic you get, it is not that everyone you will be able to connect with, but if you're connecting with, say, few people. So, and let me tell you, I made the same mistake again. So I wrote another book after we came out of pandemic. So this is called How Leaders Decide. It was released actually last month only.
Yeah.
And I went to Goodreads and I thought, now I have followers. So they are going to help me out. So I posted, 2 people liked. And I was like, what happened? I forgot to engage my followers during that period. So one is be diligent, keep posting, increase number of followers, and then keep engaging with followers so that when you need them, they come to your rescue. So I promoted my book also along with this. Buy a copy of it, write a review. Thank you.
Sure. The next question, I think so, even I ask in my organization, who should own the employer brand? The employer, employee, or the leadership team? Who is the owner? It's open for all. Anybody can take that.
In today's day and age, it is the employee.
Employee, yes.
I think while it is a joint effort, you always, it's a tradition. You need an owner. So I think it's difficult to differentiate between employer and leadership. But I feel that there is an HR and a business leadership partnership which is required. However, the biggest owner, because I saw one more question which was related that the employees are the ones who are doing it. Yes, they are doing it, and how to motivate them. That was the question, that how to motivate employees to really advocate, be our advocates. The question is, as an employee, first you need to realize that whatever is happening or whatever we are trying to do as an employee, not as a leader, am I going to post it? Am I going to like this? Am I going to really be the advocate for this? So that is the question that we need to get an answer for before really implementing anything. And I'll tell you an instance. So we did a women ace-a-thon, and after that we did a women referral program in our organization. Of course, our ZS page was posting it and amplifying it. You won't believe the amount of impressions or likes that we got from our page was far less than what we got from our own employees who were promoting this program on social media, and that to just one employee. So that's the power of when employees, they themselves feel that this program is actually making a difference. This is something which I would like to promote and be a part of it. So it's not that how, it's just that if they feel within that yes, this program is making an impact, I would like to share it on my social media handle.
Perfect. Thank you. The next one, are there specific tools to make employer brand more effective and impactful? I think so. Shivadatti ji, you spoke about some tools, right? Like to take that?
Yeah, I did. In fact, I wanted to offer it to anybody else in the forum if they have some experience, because I don't want to get into repetition again.
Anybody else? Vinay ji, would you like to take that?
Yeah. Sorry, would you mind repeating the question?
Are there specific tools to make employer brand more effective and impactful?
So I would say the simple tools. So, for example, every organization has an employee satisfaction frameworks where you get 4-5 things. So I think the most effective tool is that you make list of those things which have a huge bearing on the employee experience, and make sure that the HR team as well as a business leadership team, they really keep measuring themselves for how we treat.
Okay. Thank you, Vinay. Next one, I think so it's relevant to all of us. Okay, most of the organization put very minimal efforts to create a wow factor for the ex-employee community. Doesn't this play a very important role?
Okay, and let me take that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, and so one important thing here is that so first let me tell you what are few things that some organizations are doing, and if some of my fellow panelists want to add on to that list, they can do. Many organizations are preparing an alumni portal. So like you have a college alumni, you have a company alumni, and and those are there on various platforms, by the name of X, this organization. Even there are multiple WhatsApp groups that run like that, right? And it is always good to have a thriving community like that, and you'll see that there are organizations who take that effort, who organize such groups. Second, I think this is anyway, a little low touch in that sense. I know of organizations who even invite some of them as fellow panelists for their important conclaves and conferences that they have. So, for example, if an organization has a sales conference, it calls the last chief sales officer, who was working there as a panelist, that how he saw the company grow and how now he's looking at rest of the industry. So I think it's important that and I think it's a decently good paradigm shift, because from the owner mentality, most organizations, even medium scale organizations, are becoming very professional. So people who leave you, they're not seen as for lack of a better word, traitors. People who just are no more there with you, who did not own your vision and stuff like that. So I think there are increasingly more efforts being taken, and we are in a hyper-connected world. It doesn't take too much of an effort. And whoever has asked that question, if it's in your capacity to do it, why don't you try it out? It's not really very difficult. And for all you get to know a lot of important nuggets on how the organization can improve, or what they thought the organization stood for back then. So that's how I would respond to it, Vinay.
Perfectly, Shiva. Anybody else would like to take that, or we'll move on to the next one?
Vinay, I have an interesting thought.
Sure, please.
So suppose you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. When that person leaves you, how much interest you have in that person's life? And would you like to create a portal of your exes? It means so. Point is, it is slightly different for employees, like Shivaditya said. There are proactive engagements, and there are companies who take pride in taking people back from their employee pool.
Yeah.
And the people who come back, they know what they're stepping into, and they take a conscious decision of coming back to your organizations. And a lot of organizations take pride in that, bringing those people back to their original organizations. And they create portals and put job postings and things like that. So it is happening, but it is slightly counterintuitive.
And I would just add there, I think Harjeet made a very important point. It's important to keep a balance there. If you just go all out, frankly, no employee who's an ex-employee after 5 years, is bothered about what, frankly, but there are many other things that he needs to bother about. A big part of it is his current organization, and everything else that happens, in his family and all. So I think, it sometimes may have its own shelf life. And you may end up increasing that pool, because ex-employees, after a while, you realize it's a pool of thousands of people, and you yourself don't realize how to engage with them or whether it makes sense engaging with them. So it's a very point in time where, this is a little relevant for you. But yeah, I think there are organizations who still make that effort.
Go ahead.
So just one, point to add, kind of adding to Harjeet's point. The optics of how internal folks look at these kind of engagements. Many a times, when you are trying to attract ex-employees, the current employees feel that if that is the way of getting your salaries increased, then even I would like to do that. Let me go, come back after 6 months with a 2x salary, and that's how things would work. So I think. And I'm not saying that, firms are trying to just pour money and get these alumni back in the system. But you also need to be really cautious of how the internal folks are looking at it.
Yeah, if I may just want to add, since we also speak about employer branding, we should not forget the fact that ex-employers, those who have left the organization, help build or break your brand as much as your current employees do. And that's why you need to treat them well, irrespective of whether they're going to associate with you today or they're going to be with someone else tomorrow. At the end of the day, they have served you well. And, none of us work in organizations for life. It's a transient phase of our life. And if they move on, that whole relationship should continue, because what they speak about your organization out there carries a lot of weight because they work for you. So these are things that we also need to understand how it impacts employer brand, through the line.
Thank you. I think so. We had good insights about how to and why we should be doing, how to wow the ex-employees of ours. Okay, moving on to the next question. How do you see the hiring growth in the upcoming 2 years? It's growing, so I don't know. So we are hiring, you can say around, compared to last year, we are hiring almost 80% more than the last year. So I don't know about the other organizations now. So in 2 years, I'm sure I'll be reaching around almost double the numbers which I am today. Over to the panels for that.
Yeah, even I think for ZS, I mean, we are not that a big firm, but we are not a very small firm. But the last 2 years, last year we hired 3,000. This year we are aiming 4,000, and next year is not going to be any different. But I think at the same time, there is a bit of slowness that at least I have experienced in the last 1 or 2 months. Though the concepts of 5 or 7 offers by a candidate, and they are just trying to choose which one to go for. I think that phenomena is slightly going down, and people have started respecting the fact of stable jobs. So while the hiring is something which will continue to grow, I think there will be a bit of a stability that I am expecting, which wasn't there in the last 2 years. It was a complete disruption that was happening across sectors, across industries. So that I feel that might stabilize a little bit.
Okay.
I think I'll just add there. I think it cannot so to say be answered in isolation, because a lot depends on how the global macroeconomies are operating. Lot crazily depends on that. Today, the Fed is increasing interest rates in US, because of which we are seeing that the hyperinflation which is there across the globe. To arrest that, they're increasing the interest rates. The moment that happens, you suddenly see that economy takes a plunge, and there are already talks whether there will be recession. The stock market already is going down, and it's in that line. So see, at the end of the day, there are a lot of sentiments which build up because of some of this. And what happens is that the hiring cycles typically kick in after 6 to 8 months of a major economic development, global economic development. But having said that, we'll also have to realize where the growth is coming. Like for example, there were times, and I don't want to take it away from the IT leaders, during COVID-19, wherein we saw that IT boomed like anything. Now because of China plus one strategy, specialty chemical is booming like anything. Pharma, so to say, has been evergreen. So I think again, it's a very sector to sector kind of a reading that we need to make here. But having said that, I can tell you that in general, it appears for India, and of course, I'm being very India specific, that we seem to be on the right trajectory in terms of hiring growth. But in the VUCA world as we have it today, you can't say what happens after 2 years or after a year, so to say. So I think that's how I would like to respond to this. Thanks.
That's so true. Okay, the next question is, candidates nowadays are asking for 50 to 100% hike, and they are getting this also from the companies. Is this a good culture in long run? And how to engage current employees so that they are not looking out for outside opportunities?
So I'll attempt that with some thoughts. So I think it is definitely not a good culture. It is not something which is going to, so we've all been waiting for this bubble to burst. Unfortunately, it's not going to burst very quickly. But having said that, I think somewhere organizations are also now, we've had, there were some reports in the print a couple of months back where we saw employees who had left organizations and joined elsewhere. They wanted to come back because they didn't feel any connect with organizations where they had joined at 4x, 5x. They've returned back to, wanting to return back or have returned back. So I think that is something, the culture and what we create as an offering for employees in the organization, the stability and the security that we are able to provide, the job security, stability that we are able to provide, the investment that we are going to be making in their skilling, upskilling, those are reasons which will drive this bubble to burst at some point of time. So it's not sustainable. And with to what Shivaditya and Sailesh were also talking about, with some of what is happening in the global scenarios like the US market, etc., all of these are going to drive more attention to some of these things, and compensation will have to take a backseat at some point of time.
Well put, Shrijay, thank you. And attrition is a problem everywhere. Somebody has written, why attrition happening mainly in NBFC? I will say in ITS, it's more than NBFC. Still, anybody like to take that?
I don't think any industry is untouched from the great resignation. So I can understand it might be coming out from some sentiments. But if I was a participant, I would say it's only the consulting who's facing the maximum attrition. So yeah, I think it's across. It might be percentage of not one notch up and down, but it's everywhere.
I think so. The next question, we all have been asking this question to each other, I am sure. Somebody's written, I would want to know what to do about candidates who drop out after taking offers. The last day we hear it, not joining. So the life has become so familiar nowadays for all of us. So is there a solution? I don't know if there is a solution to this, but would any of the panel members like to take it?
I won't speak about a solution, but all I wanted to say is that if that employee is not joining you and taking something else, then it actually works out better for the organization rather than have them join and actually not, understand the culture and work through the nuances of the organization there. Because an employee joining you for the wrong reasons, you rather not have that employee join you than join you and leave after a few months. So don't feel too bad about it if it happens. I think this is the norm across the industry. And somewhere it also helps to rationalize some of the hires you do. And that's just a color commentary on that.
Thank you. I think so that's the time which we have. Vasundhara has already given her heads up that key. Now we are almost there. So thank you panel. That's all for the day from my side. Over to you, Vasundhara.
On behalf of Shine.com, I would like to thank our panelists for today. Thanks everyone for being a wonderful audience and making this session so much interactive. I know few questions are still being unanswered, but we'll try to get a Q&A guide and we'll share it with you post the event. Recording of the event and Talent Insights report will be shared with all the attendees along with the feedback mail, requesting you to please share your feedback to us so that we can do even more better. Thanks everyone. This is Vasundhara signing off now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Vasundhara.